Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islam, Islam, Islam. On a rise upon the 7, within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God, Allah, our Father God, Allah, and honors to His holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. But let us call forth our beloved Consul General of the E.A.R.S territory, Brother Tara Anpu Anibati Bey, that he may open up the way. Islam. And we ask that you open up your hearts and minds as he open up the way.
Islam. First, I'd like to rise to give our man of praise to Allah, understood the Prophet, understood our theocratic government, our World Council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, the swift angels, muftis, citizens alike. I saw the Moors that are here in attendance, all the ones that will speak after me, all the ones that spoke before me. Islam, and I will begin. The comedian ADEPTUS, Moorish American prayer. Ya Allah abnu haru makunetaru, Ya Allah abheru, Ya Allah ma'at heru, Ya Allah hotep heru, Ya Allah haru, Ya Allah ma'at herukuti, Ya Allah abajejejuti, Ya Allah pratim sutek pratim haru, Ya Allah bamaduti, El hedisepsis rei abtu ali. Amin. Alayisa, Alayisa, Alayisa. And that is to say, O Allah, the Father of the universe, O Allah, the Father of love, O Allah, the Spirit of truth, O Allah, the Spirit of peace, O Allah, the Spirit of freedom, O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, Drew Ali, Holy Isa, O Drew Ali, Amen. Holy Isa, Holy Isa, Holy Isa. We'll take recitation of our Moorish American ADEPT prayer. And I begin with the Divine Constitution of Bylaw. Salvation, our God, unity. Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names are given to slave by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must properly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And with this recitation of our divine constitution and bylaws, I will now turn the meeting over to Dendra and E.A.R.S Bay for reading of our chapter of the week, Islam.
Islam. Gratitude, God, man. First, let me rise and give praises to the great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act 1. I give honors to all my government officials. I give honors to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh for hosting this class this morning. I give honors to Tara Ani Bati Bay for opening us up according to law. I am Dr. Dendra and E.A.R.S Bay, and I will be reading our chapter of the week, chapter 66. Which reads, Holy Instructions from the Prophet, Misery, Islam. And it reads, Feeble and insufficient as thou art, O man, and good, frail, and inconstant as thou art in pleasure, yet there is a thing in which thou art strong and unshaken. Its name is misery. It is the character, it is of thy being, the prerogative of thy nature. In the breast alone it resideth. Without thee there is nothing of it. And behold, what is its source but thine own passions? He who gave thee these gave thee also reason to subdue them, exert it, and thou shalt trample them under thy feet. Thine interest into the world, is it not shameful? Thy destruction, is it not glorious? Lo, men adorn the instrument of death with gold and gems, and wear them above their garments. He who begetteth a man hideth his face, but he who killeth 1,000 is honored. Know thou, notwithstanding, that in this is error. Custom cannot alter the nature of truth, Neither can the opinion of man destroy justice. The glory and the shame and are misplaced. There is but one way for a man to be produced. There are 1,000 by which he may be destroyed. There is no praise or honor to him who giveth being to another, but triumphs and empire are the rewards of murder. Yet he who have many children have as many blessings as he who have taken away the life of another shall not enjoy his own. While the savage curseth the birth of his son and blesseth the death of his father, doeth he not call himself a monster? The greatest of all human ills is sorrow. Too much of this thou art born unto. Add not unto it by thine own perseverance. Grief is natural to thee and is always about thee. Pleasure is a stranger and visiteth thee by time. Use well thy reason, and sorrow shall be cast behind thee. Be prudent, and the visit of joy shall remain long with thee. Every part of thy frame is capable of sorrow, but few and narrow are the path that lead to the light. Pleasure can be admitted only simply, but pain rush in 1,000 times. As the blaze of straw fadeth as soon as it is kindled, so passes away the brightness of joy, and thou knowest not what became of it. Sorrow is frequent, pleasure is rare, pain cometh of itself, delight much be purchased, grief is unmixed, but joy wanteth not, is allies of bitterness. As the soundest health is less perceived than the lightest melody, so the highest joy toucheth of less deep than the smallest sorrow. We are in love with anguish. We often fly from pleasure when we purchase it, cause it not more than it is worth. Reflection is the business of man. A sense of his state is his first duty. But who remembers himself a boy? Is it not in mercy then that sorrow is allotted unto us? Man foreseeth the evil that is to come. He remembereth it when it is past. He considereth not the thought of affliction woundeth deeply than the affliction itself. Think not of thy pain, but when it is upon thee, and thou shalt avoid what most hurt thee. He who weepeth before he needeth, weepeth more than he needeth. And why? But that he loveth weeping. The stag weepeth not till the spear is lifted against him, nor do the tears of the beaver fall till the hound is ready to seize him. Man anticipated death by the apprehension of it, and the fear is greater misery than the event itself. Be always prepared to give an account of thine action, and the best death is that which is least premeditated. Islam. I will now turn everything back over to our host, our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Pseudo-HIEROGLYPHS. Mahedjasep. Are you there, God man?
Oh yeah, Islamism without the schism, but having already risen, we continue to rise in ascension, giving all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Egyptian ADEPTUS Research Sultanate session, our E.A.R.S session. And man, this is going to be a powerful drawing. Very powerful drawing. We can't wait to hear from our scribes. We have some very high vibration to bring to you. And maybe you'll hear some things that you never heard before. There's nothing wrong with learning and seeking knowledge from the cradle to the grave. So without further ado or delay, we will call forth our scribes so that they can actually give us some grand insights on their assignment. So Islam, first scribe.
Islam. I guess I go ahead on and jump on out there. All right, Islam. Dr. Dendra Nia Kurtubay. Okay, let me get everything set up. Let me see, share screen. Okay, share entire screen. And then share. All right, let me pull up my homework. Okay. All right, okay, family, let me make that bigger so you can see it. Okay, I guess I go to 300. Islam, family. Our assignment was to, and it was a powerful assignment. I thoroughly enjoyed reading all the material that our instructor had sent out to us. Very, very enlightening. A lot of information. Still didn't get time to finish reading all of it, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. And this is what I took away from what he was asking us to do. He said the first one, we were to study the document herein concerning their reference to Tahuti thought, also known as the Hermetian sage, Hermes thrice the greatest, aka Enoch, in the role of creation of the alphabet. He said, and then give you understanding of the history of writing as it relates to his involvement. So, and then the second, number 2, we were to give our understanding of Ibn Washia work concerning the hieroglyphs, and we were to choose 7 glyphs from his writing and demonstrate how they related to the teaching within our Holy Quran. And dealing with number 1, talking about the study, we had to see how Tahuti and how they role was, what role did they have in the creation of the alphabet, and give my understanding of their involvement. And so what I did is we from one of our material, and this is talking about this particular passage here. It's a whole book basically on this, and this is Ibn Washia, and what I'm going to show you, this is before Champollion, and Ibn Washia, he was looked as an Egyptian adept, and also he was looked at an Egyptian adept, and he produced this Arabic chart, as I show you when I stroll on down. And now this is older than what Champollion, this is older than his stuff that he have out there. And when you will see that when I pull it up, so this chart that he have I know y'all remember some of Champollion stuff. It ain't gonna match. And we also know that Ivan Washiar, he had a special fascination for the ancient Egyptians, and he didn't have the same reservations about the Egyptians because of their paganism, like because of their paganism, like some of the other Muslims had. So he put me, he was like thinking outside the box, where, and you can see that going on today, just because different people got different beliefs, you want to come against them. But he wasn't like that. And even they called what our ancestors did back in that time, calling it paganism, and we know that it wasn't paganism. That's just what they say. And but anyway, moving right along, it says the alphabet called Hermetian, the disciple of Hermes, the first dynasty of the king in Egypt, as we find them in the writing of the ancients. He says every one of these kings invented according to his own genius and understanding a particular alphabet, in order that none should know them but the sons of wisdom. So and it says, few therefore are found who understand them in our time. They took the figures of different instruments, trees, plants, quadrupeds, birds, their parts, and of plants and fixed stars. He says, in this manner, these hieroglyphical alphabets became innumerable, like the alphabets of the Indians and the Chinese. He says, they were not arranged at all in the order of our letters A, B, C, and D. He says, but they had proper characters agreed upon by the inventors of these alphabets, and which differ in their figure and order. He said they expressed water by this symbol here. And he says they understood the secrets of nature and endeavored to express everything by an appropriate sign, so that they might express it by its appearance. And he says, others followed the simple rule of geometry, deriving one alphabet from another, as the Kufi has been derived from the Syrian, the Hebrew from the Chaldean, the Latin from the Greek, and others in this manner from some original. Basically, he's telling you that everything started from the original. And he says, whosoever wishes to become acquainted with all the nice points of the knowledge of alphabets may inquire for the book entitled Solutions of Secrets. This is a book that he's telling you to get, and Key of Treasure by Faber Hayan Esafi, who entered into all the necessary explanations and details of this art. Our object is only to mention the most celebrated of these alphabets of the Hermetians or hieroglyphs, and to indicate their particular qualities, for nobody is capable of giving a satisfactory explanation of them all. And he says God directs all things for the best. And it talks about the alphabet, section 1, alphabet of the philosopher Hermes the Great. This alphabet is used on the obelisks, the pyramids, the inscription tables and stones, the temples, and other old buildings from the time of the first pharaoh. It does not consist in a series of letters like other alphabets, but in expression composed according to the arrangement made by Hermes the Great. So we can see here his involvement in the alphabet. It says these expressions consist in innumerable figures and signs, which are to lead the mind directly and immediately to the object expressed thereby. He says, there is a sign which signifies the name of God Almighty, simply and alone. If they wish to express one of the particular attributes of God, they added something to the original sign and proceeded in this manner, as you will perceive by the alphabets in question. It says it is divided into 3 series beside the celestial supernatural object. He says, let us begin with the celestial object and the figures by which they were expressed in the Hermetian language represented as we found them. And as you can see, he was involved in dealing with the alphabets and what he come up with. And this is the chart that he was talking about, what he come up with. And as you can see, family, this man, his writing is before Champollion. And what I took away from what little bit I got to read, because I like to read and comprehend what I'm reading. So I had to take my time and read, and I'm still, I need a stitching because I still didn't finish everything. But what I'm taking away, he is before Champollion, and this is what he come up with. These are symbols. These are persons, places, and things. He's not saying that these are alphabets either. He is saying the same thing that we're saying. He's saying the same thing that Harapolo taught, and because he was an Egyptian adept, and everybody is saying that, and everybody knew that these symbols did not stand for alphabet. And like you like this symbol here, it stands for the Almighty. That don't stand for no, you look like you got an arm there. That don't stand for no A. That ain't no alphabet. That's the meaning of this picture here. And when you go on down, you can see the foot. I think in some of Champollion stuff, you see the foot. He got it meaning an alphabet. But here, this man is before Champollion, y'all. I can't say that enough. And he is saying that the foots, that ain't no alphabet. It stands for the all-powerful. And this figure here, it looked like a face or something with some wings, but it stands for the Almighty. And these pictures come from they come from us, but they are not alphabets. And also this symbol means the nurturer. And if you go on down, different ones, the main thing that I wanted to show was that he agreed with everything that we're saying, and he came before Champollion, his writings and his information, all the information. This is just, I ain't even scratching the surface when I put this here up here, because he had so much information. And but the main thing is that these pictures, they are not alphabets, and that's what we have been saying all along. You have to look at that, look at these pictures, and you have to go within and get a esoteric meaning for these glyphs and things of this nature. And you can see he used different things. He used like the planets and the clouds. He used light, darkness, air. This symbol here means air. This here mean the moon. I thought about our crescent star and the moon. And so that was my take on showing how his writing, showing how this writing goes back, relates to his involvement in the creation of the alphabets and stuff, in the creation of his writing. And that was my take on that, showing you with this how he was involved in that, because it talked about Hermes, and we know that they were referred to as Tahuti. And when I thought about Tahuti, what I know about Tahuti, when I looked it up, it said he was the inventor of the writing of the alphabet. He was the inventor of writing. And when we see Tahuti, we know that he was a scribe, and we know that he did all the recordings of all your life and things when you start doing your research on Tahuti. So that's my drawing on showing on number one, to study the documents and show how they what role did they play in the creation. And so moving on to number 2, he said, give your understanding of Ibn Washar work concerning hieroglyphs. And he said, choose 7 glyphs from his writing and demonstrate how they relate to the teachings within our Moorish Holy Quran. And so what I did is I went through different of his glyphs, and I just picked out 7. And so this particular glyph here, he says that means high priest, and how that relates to our teaching in our Holy Quran. It says I went to chapter 7 in our Holy Quran because it's talking about the high priest, and chapter 7, ayahs 10 through 20, and it reads, I didn't try to type it all out, and it reads, it says, one night he slept. It's talking about Yehoshua, and saying one night he slept, and at midnight hour a door that he had not observed was open, and a priest in somber garb came in and said, my brother, pardon me for coming in at this unseemly hour, but I have come to save your life. You are the victim of a cruel plot. The priest of Heliopolis, he's talking about the high priest there. He said the priests of Heliopolis are jealous of your fame, and they have said that you will never leave these gloomy crypts alive. It says the higher priests do not go forth to teach the world, and you are doomed to temple servitude. Now, if you would be free, you must deceive these priests, must tell them you are here to stay for life. And then when you have gained all that you wish to gain, I will return, and by a secret way will lead you forth that you may go in peace. And Yehoshua said, and these are some of the tests and trials that Yehoshua is going through. And this is it's showing you how to the good priests come in, and how the negative priest is trying to come in there. Basically, your lower self and your higher self is what they're really talking about. And it says, and Yehoshua said, my brother man, would you come here to teach deceit? Am I within these holy walls to learn the wiles of thy hypocrisy? He said, nay, man, my father scorns deceit, and I am here to do his will. Deceive these priests. And when he say priests, he's talking about deceive the high priest. He said, not while the sun shines. What I have said, I have said. I will be true to them, to Allah, and to myself. And then the tempter left, and Yehoshua was again alone. But in a little while, a white-robed priest, meaning the high priest, appeared and said, well done. The Logos has prevailed. This is the trial chamber of hypocrisy. And then he led the way, and Yehoshua stood before the judgment seat. So when he's talking about the high priest, so I went to chapter 27 and looked at how the high priest, how they led Yehoshua to victory, how they showed him how to conquer basically that lower self. And you can see the priests that come in to try to deceive him. And like I said, this ties into our Holy Quran, because it's showing you the difference between the higher self and the lower self, and how you can have victory over that lower self, Islam. And then the next one I picked out was the ruby. And when I thought how I relate that to our Holy Quran and our teachings, the ruby and our teachings in the Holy Quran, I used the chapter that we really just left out of, and it talks about the ruby, ayat 16. It says, more worth is she than pearls, therefore seek her carefully. The emerald and the sapphire and the ruby are as dirt beneath her feet, therefore pursue her manfully. And when it's talking about rubies here, it's dealing with our Holy Prophet was talking about the insufficiency of knowledge, and telling us how to seek knowledge and the truth of knowledge, the knowledge of truth. And he talks about, he used that the word ruby there, letting you know how precious the ruby is. And he's showing us how you can have all the riches in the world, but nothing is compared to the getting the wisdom and knowledge and understanding. You can have all the emeralds, the sapphires, and the rubies. They are like dirt beneath her feet. It's talking about the knowledge of truth, Islam. So that's how to me, how that relates to our Holy Quran, the ruby. And number 3, it talks about he have this picture here. This represents falsehood, and as we have always said and told y'all, this is not an alphabet. This is a person, places, or things. These are not alphabets. And this figure here, it represents falsehood. And so I went to chapter 11, where it tells us in our chapter 11, chapter 11, 4 through 6, it says, it's talking about falsehood. It says, in all the world there are 2 things. The one is truth, and the other is falsehood. And falsehood is that which seems to be. He says, now, truth is all and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. He says, falsehood is naught, and yet it is the manifest of right. So here in our Holy Quran, he's teaching us about truth and falsehood, and how falsehood, you gonna have he says 2 things in the world. They are truth and falsehood. So you're gonna have these 2 here on this manifest. And that's coming from our Holy Quran, chapter 11, ayahs 4 through 6. And the next one, it talks about will. This is the symbol. This is the symbol, and that symbolizes will, because that's the way they express themselves. They use symbols, not alphabets. And I went to chapter 15 in our Holy Quran, where it talks about where it talks about will. In chapter 15, ayahs 27, it says, and in their native plane, all creatures are supplied with nourishment from the ethers of their plane. And so it was with every living thing until the will became a sluggish will. He's talking about the will here. And then the ethers of the protoplasm, the earth, the plant, the beast, the man, began to vibrate very slow. And it says, the ether became more dense, and all the creatures of these plains were clothed with coarser garbs of flesh, which men can see, and thus the coarser manifest, which men call physical appearance. And this is talking about when we actually came into existence, family. And it says, and this is what is called the fall of man. But man fell not alone, for protoplasm and earth and plant and beast were all included in the fall. And he says, the angel and the cherubim fell not. It says, because their will was never strong, and so they held the ethers of their plane in harmony with Allah. And I can also relate to will, because coming up, you used to hear our parents or grandparents say, he got a strong will. Where when it says that he had a strong will, when we used to talk about it, we was talking about that person, was just kind of stubborn, kind of hard-headed. But as we see here, dealing in our Holy Quran, it says the two angels that didn't fall, it says because their will was never, the angels and the cherubim fell not. It said because their will was never strong. In other words, they were willing to keep the teachings of Allah. You could not deviate them from the great God Allah's teaching or from him. And that's what I took away from the will, talking about the will in our Holy Quran. Islam. And moving right along. This is the next symbol. This stands for angel. And that's coming from how I relate that to our teachings in our Holy Quran. All you have to do is go to chapter 1 and go down to line line 10, and he talks about it talks about, hear now, ye cherubim, ye seraphim, ye angels, and ye men. And so he's also family, we are called angels. We are called angels of Allah. And as you can see, this is not an alphabet. This is a symbol represent a person, place, or thing. It's talking about angels. And like I say, we are called angels, and angels are not what we was taught, especially coming up in the Piscine area, that angels are some little old fat baby with some wings on it flying around Allah's throne to bring you messages and stuff. We are called angels. Islam. And we see in our chapter in our Holy Quran, chapter 1, and where it talks about hear ye angels and ye men. Islam. And next to the left, it ain't gonna come in. This symbol here was obedience, and how I related that to our Holy Quran. I went in our chapter 46 when it talks about it tells us, chapter 46 in ayat 8, it tells us to it's giving us hope. The prophet is giving us holy instructions in dealing with our children. And this is the symbol for obedience. In chapter 8 in our Holy Quran, it says holy instructions for children. It says, teach him obedience. And he said, if you teach him obedience, he shall bless thee. And so when we teach our children, and we can see this is a great need when you look around today and see all the things that's going on. This is a great need that we as parents, grandparents, or whatever, especially if you're an adult over some children, we need to teach them obedience. Teach them obedience. These are holy instructions coming from our Holy Quran. from our holy prophet, telling us to teach our children obedience. Islam, and I think this is the last one here. This year represents light. This symbol is for light, and when I to relate that to what our Holy Quran say, I went to chapter 21. And like I say, this is the symbol for light. That is not L, the alphabet L. This is the symbol for light, L, for light, Islam. And I went to chapter 21, ayahs 11, where it talks about light. It says, we know the light is coming over the hill. Allah, speed the light. And this is dealing with the opening address of Yehoshua with the 7 sages. And it talks about how they sit 7 days in silence. And then they talked about how we know the light is coming over the hill. Basically, they talked about how they know the light, which also to me represent truth. They knew the truth was going to be coming. And then in ayah 14, it talks about light again. It says, in light, there is no secret thing. So they're telling you where there's light, there is no secrets. Because in light, you can see plainly, you can see clear, you can see everything. So it ain't nothing hid in the light. And I think about when our prophet say he was taking the cover off of everything. In other words, he was bringing that light to us. He has brought that light to us because we was in darkness. Now we know the truth and we are walking in the light. Islam. And it says the sun reveals all hidden truth. There are no mysteries in Allah. And ayat 16, it says, we hailed the light. All Egypt craves the light. In other words, they crave in truth. They hail the truth coming to them. This is dealing with Yehoshua during his time. And also, last but not least, he says in ayat 21, it says, behold, for Allah has made incarnate wisdom, love, and light, which he called Emmanuel. And we're familiar with, we know even in the Piscean area, it talks about Yehoshua's name shall be called Emmanuel. In other words, he was bringing that light to us. So Islam family, that's what I got from our assignment. I hope y'all got something out of that, but that was my understanding of what we were to do. Islam?
In gratitude, Assistant Grand National Secretary of the State, great job. You know, it's one that stuck out to me. Can you pull that one up dealing with the deception?
Dealing with what now?
The deception. You know, the one where you had
when
falsehood.
Okay, falsehood, yeah.
Yeah. And this is a very powerful demonstration here.
Yeah, this one here, yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at that, blow that up a little bit, sister. Because, you know, I guess, you know, some people, when it comes to the artwork, you know, if one can't really...
is going to get God, man.
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect.
Okay.
And we've known, if you look at that, you've seen that there's an arm that we often show you with a hand. And within the hand is often a pyramid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means to give, right?
Right.
But you can't really see what's going on with the other hand. This would be like supposed to be almost like a human figure, so to speak, standing up. They just, the artwork wasn't really good.
Right.
And drawing it, but we can see one extending their arm and the other arm you can't see.
Right.
Right. And it says falsehood. You know, and we always talk about truth and falsehood, strangely mixed. And I want to share my screen now.
Okay.
And show you something here, you know, on this falsehood as it relates to, you know, and they got a couple of these things out here. Let me see. Okay, this is what I want to show you right here.
Okay, let me
Yeah, you should be able to see it now. You see what I'm showing you?
let me get my little stuff out the way. Islam. Yes, sir. I see
It's almost like one is extending their arm,
it. Uh-huh.
and then behind their bite, you got the serpent tongue and everything.
Yeah. That kind of look like that, don't it? It kind of
Yeah. That's the type of vibration that we got from the falsehood that was being demonstrated. So this is why we say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And what does this say? What can you see here? Truth and falsehood strangely mixed.
Yes.
The truth is supposed to be out front. I'm your true friend, but this is what really going on. Look at that serpent tongue.
Yeah. You gotta say behind it back.
Yeah, hand crossed. And it's often like that, sadly to say. Now I'm gonna show you another right here, real quick. I got to reshare because I shared a tab. Hold up, give me one more. Okay, that's the one. I actually had about 2 of them, but this one is good here though. Okay, let me here you go. Yeah, I wanted to show both of them. So I see them. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna share this one here. It's similar to those, but and I just hit the entire screen to make sure everything is shared. So here we go again.
Oh, now, yeah.
See that one over there? The most dangerous animal on this planet, right here. Right?
Is love.
And you see both of them at each other.
Right.
There's a fake friend, right? Now, can't you see that right there? They extending their hand now.
Right.
Look at this one right here. This one right here is real good. Yeah. The most dangerous creature on earth is a fake friend. Both of them got hatchets behind their bite while they're extending their hand. Now, pull your image back up again and let's look at it now that we have that site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna add it back to the oh, I thought I did. But you just put it back up there.
Okay.
And I add it back to the queue.
Let me go back. Let me see. Entire screen. A minute. Okay.
There we go. Okay, I'm adding it there now.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh no. They put up the wrong one. Okay, it's this one. Let me take that out. Oh, 1 minute, y'all.
It's long. Take your time.
I think this should be it. Yeah. Okay. Is the falsehood. There we go. Let me make that bigger for y'all to see. Okay. There we go, right there.
So yeah. So again, we know that normally, like I say, one would be presenting something, giving something, and where that other hand at? You know what's going on. But we can see how that is symbolic to the same thing that we just seen a few minutes ago. You know what I mean? That's like a personification of truth and falsehood, strangely mixed.
Yes, Islam.
I'm demonstrating something else, that you don't see while I'm demonstrating something that you see. So that's a powerful message. I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was purely humorous, so to speak, but a reality and truth too.
and to think that even Washir, his what he put out is similar to what we teach.
Yep.
That's what was fascinating to me, and But Islam, the whole thing was fascinating to me. Like I said, I just
Oh
have to
yeah.
take my time and read it and study it and get comprehension of it. But this whole thing was good. And as we like we were saying, and like you always tell us, even with him, he's telling you that these pictures are person, places, or things. They're not alphabets.
That's right.
They're not alphabets.
Yeah. And even when he used the term, he reiterated when he used the term alpha, he said it wasn't alphabet in the sense that we think of them, basically.
Right.
You're like, and he show you what the meaning of them is. And neither one time did he say, oh, this is this and that. No, he's showing you exactly what they were represented by the ancient Egyptians. But then he showed you different people. There were more than one sage to produce alphabets, so to speak, dealing with language. So, that's a whole nother measure in and of itself.
Right.
Islam. Praise be to Allah. You did a grand job, scribers.
Gratitude.
I know that right there set our souls on fire with love and holy zeal right there. The other scribes, they biting at the bit right now.
Oh yeah, they ready to get in there now.
Oh yeah, they ready now. You done kick the door off the hinges. Islam. Gratitude, Sister Dendra near Curtis Bay.
Islam.
Well, all right, next scribe. There go Marvin Edwards Bay. You taught her for class, sir.
you get a strap.
Oh, body to body.
I knew that'd get him started. Islam, grand man.
Islam family, peace and love.
Yes, sir. Peace and love, brother. All right. Who's our next scribe coming up in here?
Islam.
Oh, brother Bonte, man, come on up in here.
Islam. And
Islam,
so
man.
that last part, I didn't get initially, but I seen what the goddess did, so I went through and just tightened the measure up. So I'm gonna share my screen. That's not how you share your screen. What is that? Oh, present. Okay, I'm tripping. Okay. All entire window. Man. All right. This is it.
Okay. All right, we got you in the queue, my brother. Let me blow it up for you here. There you go.
Right. Let me go back up here. I got to find out. The thing that I liked about this is that what this lesson did was show that even in the Arabic, even in the Arabic context and the writings, it shows that there was a some type of what they call. I'm trying to think of the word you use this phrase before. Bias. It was like some scholarship bias, and how they're trying to put themselves in the position of being the chieftain of the knowledge and have all this acting like they had a lot to do with what Egypt brought, and in doing that they were burying a lot of their information, or just not teaching it, just not teaching it to I got some of this portion highlight. I want to go through this because yeah, but they were very biased towards the Egyptians and wanted to try to infuse before the conquest of the Islamic conquest in Egypt. They wanted to infuse their ways to act like they are the bringers. So I highlighted a few sections out of here, and let me see if this is the no, this is not even the first part. Yeah, that is. Okay, I thought I highlighted something up here on 14. But Okay, so this is the part that I highlighted on for the measure, and going to let me go to this. Says the assignment was to study the documents herein concerning the reference to Tahuti Thoth, aka Hermesin, Hermesin Sage or Hermes Thrice the Greatest, and aka Ankhnuk. Enoch in the role of creation of the alphabets. Give your understanding of history of writing as it relates to his involvement. Give your understanding of Ibn Warshiyas works concerning the hieroglyphs, true 7 hieroglyphs from the writings, and demonstrate how they relate to the teachings within the Moorish Holy Quran. And this first part kind of had me wrapped up because of the what this right here is saying. And it says the obstacles. It starts off. It says the obstacles faced the development of the indigenous Egyptology. It says, but this process of study was discontinued. Now they're talking about them discontinuing the study of Egyptology. It says, but this part of the process was discontinued and obstacles were placed in the way of the development of later indigenous schools of Egyptology for reasons which have been discussed by Mokhtar 1965, Reed 1985, 1990, 2002, and Wood 1998. The main reason for this was the desire of early Western Egyptologists and others to keep Egyptians out of Egyptology by discouraging them from participating and studying, thus leading to the marginalization and the inevitable Western dominance of a subject. And I'm sitting up there in my hands like, how do you keep the people that you are studying from the study of of their history and really putting forth the giving you the actual truth, you know what I'm saying, from their angle. You know what I'm saying? The ones that actually lived the history or blood is tied to the history, you block them from studying and being the ones out in the forefront teaching because you're trying to push a narrative. And this wasn't just only with the Western, but this also continue on shows that this was with the Arabs too. And it says that every it says it must be recognized that there was a trend among Westerners to object to the teaching, to object to the teachings or promoting of native Egyptians, which was not limited to Egyptology, as sciences such as medicines suffered a similar fate. And that, you know, that shows that even if the E.A.R.S papyri where we had studied, and it showed that we showed some flaws that were in there, that there had to be some reason that they were just going through and discrediting Egypt's or Kemet's what are they, Kemet's contributions to the world. You know what I'm saying? Even today, Arab scholars still bitterly complain about the lack of native schools dedicated to writing history from a native viewpoint rather than merely reproducing Western texts. The same complaint is made by young Egyptian scholars who complain bitterly about the Western dominance of Egyptology. Said 1999. The situation was made worse by the colonial education authorities, which excluded Egypt history from the curriculum. For example, in 1905, secondary school history courses were almost exclusively about Europe history, with the text books bearing the following titles: Outlines of General History by Renouf, Landmarks and European History by McDougall or whatever, and General Stretch of European History and Freeman. So why would they be trying to teach? It's not why would they decide trying to teach, but it does, speak to that question. Why were they trying to teach European history in Egypt? And that was more, from what I'm gathering, it is more so they can usurp the history of the Egyptians and try to place it into the hands of the Greeks and all these other European nations, when that was the furthest thing from the truth. We know that our, the chematology, and I was even say chematology is different from Egyptian the Egyptology, because Egyptology, they're taking information and hieroglyphs and trying to form alphabets out of it. And we know that the actual true study of Comedian science is not just limited to the language, but as it illustrated earlier, it was a talk about the whole aspect of all sciences, and they were trying to block this out because Egypt had or Kemet had a heavy contribution when it came down to the language, sciences, and the arts of what the world now studies today. They like to keep it in. They like to keep them as being some type of beacon in the schools of thought when they weren't even thought of in most cases, and they were just coming out of their dark age. So going on, I got to scroll down here to get to the brother Enoch. Brother Enoch. Let me make sure I go slow enough. But this was a power. I didn't even get through all of this, and this is going to be a good read. This one and this other book that you got, you gave, because it gives a lot of information about, the bias that both groups had. But we got to remember, if they were burying, there was a reason why they were burying that information from the world, and then second from us. So we got to be some type of link if they're doing the same thing over here, they're doing over there to us. And that's why I enjoy, I enjoy when it reveals this truth, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to show that they are, that there's this much bias in the world. And this is what I was talking about, that I can't stand the human element of the world. Because why would you try to hide somebody? You should be enriched. You should be enriched. The things, the contributions that other groups have made should enrich you and make you want to further yourself, not try to hinder, block, or stagnate what somebody else is doing because you don't have the time on that much time on the planet, or had that time on the planet to where you could have made some of this, but you spending more time hiding or trying to curtail the information and the contributions. Going in the Hermes, it says almost all Muslim Arabic sources linked Hermes talk in any one of his forms. Hermes the first, or the second, or the thrice great endowed with wisdom, known as Trismegistus, with the Quranic prophet Idris, who is highly praised in the Quran and credited with great honor. A good example of this from the Muslims Arab schools is in Al-Mas'udi or Masruj 139-40, who had a good knowledge of different cultures and creeds, and who also made the link between Idris, known also by the Hebrew name Enoch or Akhnuk, and Hermes. He says of Akhnuk, Ibn Ashu, Ibn Sheath, Ibn Adam. That's crazy. He got his Adam in it. Because that means, going back to what that means. Then came his son Akhnuk, who is Idris the prophet, peace be upon him. It says the Sabians claim that he is Hermes. And if you're looking at this, we were just discussing this before we came on, was that the names may have changed over the time, but it still illustrate the people. The hardest thing about this is to go back and really retrace and uncover these names. Because even Ra is talked about in the Bible, but he goes by a different name. And I want to say Nebuchadnezzar, but I don't think that's what it is. But it does begin with something like an N. But all those Kemetic ones that they say gods are spoke about, but they use different names to try to hide it from you so that you can't go back further and get indulged into the richness of that history. And then it goes right here. It says, thus Idris was born in Egypt and is identified with Enoch, one of the earliest, if not the earliest, of prophets, and the originator of prophethood, who conveyed the message of God to the Egyptians. Through such connections, Hermes and writings attributed to him exercised great influence on both Jewish thought and Muslim thought, and beyond these to the African culture of the Dogon people. Go on a little further right here. It says, who says that Ankh Idris, it was just, let me read this before I get into that. It says, the Hermetic influence of Islamic thought can be traced through medieval Arabic sources, as illustrated for the example of Al-Yaqubi, who says that Ankh Idris was the first to write, just as the as the Egyptians' origin of this figure. Thoth was believed by ancient Egyptians to have been the first to write and teach writing, as Lord of the divine words, who founded the hieroglyphs. Going on, it says, the sage of Hakim, Al-Yaqubi, also gives a detailed account of this figure. The sage Hakim of the Copt is Hermes the Copt. They are the builders of the temples who write in the script of the temples. Kat al-Barabi, the hieroglyphs. And I'm gonna highlight that right there because that's good. Kat al-Barabi, just in case I see that later somewhere. And here is how it looks. No hieroglyphs are shown in this edited work. And in our time, nobody knows how to read it because only the elite among them were writing in it. Again, and in our time, nobody knows how to read it because only the elite among them were writing in it. They would not allow the common people to do so. The ones in charge of it were their sages and priests. It had the secrets of their religion and the origins of sciences, which nobody was allowed to see but their priest, who did not teach it to anyone unless ordered to do so by the king. You know what I'm saying? That right there says, you know what I'm saying, puts a nail in the coffin on what people saying that they think they deciphered it. Because if they were only teaching it by the consent of the king, you know what I'm saying, and it was in the priesthood and the sciences, this was to preserve their holy and divine laws. So they put it into the hieroglyphs to make sure that it can't be distorted, and nobody can sit over here and hijack it. As you see, people are trying to hijack it today, claiming that they know, and it shows that they really don't. Now, this is the crazy part because up in here is talking about the belief and basically what the hieroglyphs was talking about, the sciences and the religion, and what they believed in. And then this guy attributed to having idols, and he says Al-Yaqubi, who is one of the few writers to comment critically on ritual practices, said that such beliefs are false and irrational. And so this is to me the era Arabs trying to degrade or put some doubt on what the comedians, you know what I'm saying, believe and established. And yet they had proof. And part of this is because they cannot decipher and still haven't been able to decipher the hieroglyphs on the walls. Because if they could decipher the hieroglyphs on the walls, they would try to take ownership instead of calling it false or irrational. You know what I'm saying? So that was my portion of that. There was something else that I believe is this it right here. Let me look. Excuse me. I was going through this. Actually, let me read out loud. You said. I can't remember where I marked. I don't even know where I marked that. Let me see. I know I have marked something on here. It was a lot of information, man, and this is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? To confirm everything that you yourself, Dr. Shaheed, that you've been putting out in the forefront. So they can't deny it. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't doing nothing but what the Arabs and the Western sciences is doing by trying to say that what you have brought forth is not necessarily true. Okay. And I don't see. Okay. I don't see it. So I guess that would be the end of that portion. Now with this, like I said, I only did this towards the end because I didn't really I was kind of more wrapped up in that portion. I had a lot of weight to it. You know what I'm saying? But this one I did, the first one I did was this moral good. And it took me to the chapter 3. And when I was thinking about moral good, it didn't actually go in specific to say just moral good, but what it was speaking to, what I had written down was ayat 9 and 10. It says the higher self is the embodiment of truth. The higher self is embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. And it was talking about moral good. So understanding what moral good is we're speaking to the fact of justice, mercy, love, and right, truth, the embodiment of truth, not just truth as people say this is your truth or her truth or his truth. No, it's truth. Truth is by itself and it stands alone. It doesn't need no verbs or added pronouns to, say exemplify what it's saying. Truth is truth. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. The second one I did was the action is right here, which is his hand. And so I went into the soul of man on this one. And ayat 22, it says, think not that thou canst lose her in the crowd. Suppose not that thou canst bury her in the closet. Action is her delight, and she will not be withheld from it. And that's thinking about the soul of man. Your soul it needs the action. It needs you to put forth that effort in order to enhance its quality, enhance its abilities. You know what I'm saying? I.e. meditation, yoga, doing stuff like this that really challenges your thought. You know what I'm saying? Your process. The other one I went to was weeping. Now, weeping took me to chapter 4, which is death and the burial of Elizabeth Matheno's lesson, the ministry of death, and it was talking to John, and this is when John's mother had passed, and Matheno said, "It is not well to weep because of death. Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend who, when the work of life is done, just cuts the cord that binds a human boat to earth that it may sail on smoother seas." And this is realizing that when Christ has come, saying he was telling him it's not well to weep, but you still have to be thinking. You still have to be a thinking, and I'm gonna say a sound thinking apparatus. You still have to use your mind in these hard times. Doesn't matter what you're going through. You still have to exercise the one that's next to it, the intellect. You know what I'm saying, and the moral good. The other one, I put these two together. I put the spirit and the man, because spirit man is goes into the chapter 1, and right up at the top too. It says, creative faith gave to man, to spirit man, a soul that he might function on the plane of soul. And I like that because it says might function. If you don't have the knowledge of self, it's hard to function. If you don't have the understanding of what even your doctrine, if you don't have an understanding of that, a good understanding, a good grasp, is going to be hard for you to function in the capacity of you being the spirit, because that's what you are at the end of the day. You're not the body nor the soul, you're the spirit. And the spirit had to have a body, had to be given a soul that it might function on the plane of soul. on the plane of thought, on the plane of thinking, on the plane of consciousness. You know what I'm saying? And so then I went to death. Death also, this one right here, also resides in chapter 1. And it says, man cannot die. And this is, I'm going to read what it says before that. It says, thus hope will ever be his beacon light. There is no failure for the human soul, for Allah is leading on and victory is sure. Man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah, and while Allah lives, man cannot die. So there is no death for the soul or the spirit of man, the spirit man. And then with that, I leave as I come in peace. Islam.
Can you hear me, Grand Man?
Yes, I can.
Yes, sir. Gratitude, brother. Very powerful measure. And yep. I mean, them documents definitely brought out a lot of clarity. And I mean, it don't get no plainer than what's here. And being that a lot of this predate, you know, even while she's work predate Champollion and you know all the other stuff, and just going all the way back beyond even while she, because he went back to Tehuti. So we can see that yeah, a lot was to be uncovered, you know, in the special measures just dealing with the history of the alphabet alone. And yeah, you had some Arabs that definitely tried to hide the truth, like we were speaking earlier, you know, but the truth is crushed to the earth will always rise again, so to speak, you know, as a phoenix being reborn from one's own ashes. You know, this is a powerful demonstration. So gratitude, Brother Bati Bey, powerful measure. Well, all right, that only lead 2 scribes.
Islam.
Islam, Grand National Secretary of the State. How you doing, scribes?
All is well. All is well. Gratitude.
Islam. Well, it's all. Let me get my little self out the way.
You're never in the way. Islam, boys, good. Praise Allah. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our E.A.R.S class, our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, giving honor to all of our scribes online, to our family online, giving honor to Act 1, and also giving honor to our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shedowa Menti El Mohejet Shepsuel. I want to give much honor to my scribes for bringing forth such grand measures. I'm going to share my screen.
Uh-oh, our Grand Secretary of State dropped off. Give her a second to come back in here. She probably hit the wrong button. Yeah, we got our validation from the scribes. Okay, there you go, Grand Secretary.
Ooh, I'm like, ain't nobody trying to play.
There they go.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I say, oh man, she done went out of here. She'll be right back, y'all.
Praise Allah. I'm like, ain't nobody got time for this. I already got enough butterflies. Anyway, I'm going to present my screen.
Islam. All right. All right, we got you in queue, Grand Secretary.
Can you see my screen?
Oh yeah, you right there. Mm-hmm.
Praise Allah.
Oh yeah.
All right. As our Moorish kin have stated, we had an assignment number 1 to study the documents herein concerning their reference to Tehuti, Thoth, aka the Hermesian sage, Hermes thrice the greatest, aka Akhnuk or Enoch, in the role of creation of the alphabets. Give your understanding of the history of writing as it relates to his involvement. Also, number 2, give your understanding of Ibn Washia's works concerning the hieroglyphs choose 7 glyphs from his writings and demonstrate how they relate to teachings within our Moorish Holy Quran. I want to give much honor to you, Dr. Shahi, for giving us this assignment, because I tell you, there were so many paradigm shifts. Also, being able to see what we have been studying, by the ancients. Now, I did not read all of the books. I did touch base on all of them. The main focus was coming out of the ancient alphabets and hieroglyphic characters explained. But I also, with the other 2 books, I was able to kind of go through them as a matter of confirmation. So this was coming from page 14, the alphabets called Hermesian, vis-a-vis of the disciples of Hermes, or the first dynasty of the kings in Egypt, as we find them in the writings of the ancients. And so now they're speaking about every one of these kings invented, according to his own genius and understanding, a particular alphabet, in order that none should know them but the sons of wisdom. And I saw that as a common thread throughout the readings, which is what Dr. Bati Bey was bringing forth as well, to keep it sacred, to keep it holy, and not let the commoners or those that were on a vulgar level contaminate these great keys. Therefore, few therefore are found who understand them in time. And this was already brought forth by the scribes. So when it speaks about the alphabet, and that was also brought forth in reference to Hermes the Great, that you'd find this one. And this alphabet, as our National Sister Grand Sheik spoke about, even though it's using the word alphabet, it's still dealing with glyphs, which are people, places, and things. It's not saying that here's a letter X, this is letter L, this is letter R, as we stated earlier. So it does not consist in a series of letters like the other alphabets, but in expressions composed according to the arrangement made by Hermes the Great. And we see the other names throughout history that he was called. So if they wish to express one of the particular attributes of God, they added something to the original sign and proceeded in this manner, as you will perceive by the alphabet in question. So it's divided into 3 series besides the celestial or supernatural objects. And as our scribes have brought forth, let's say, for instance, this bird is symbolic of God. If you wanted to say God the Almighty, you can put these 2 together, so he's showing the foundation, angel, as Dr. Dendra brought forth, etc. And we see also dealing with the planets, and how they were brought forth coming out of ancient Kemet. Now it's speaking about according to promise with all the different figures of Hermesian alphabets or hieroglyphics. Hold on 1 second. Yes. All right. We already reiterated that again. I'm just trying not to duplicate it. Okay. And we see Idris and Enoch constructed temples dedicated to the spirits and building of magical wisdom. Now, what they termed as magical wisdom, this is actually a transformation of matter, which is alchemy, chemistry, etc., depending on who's doing the speaking. And it shows the different classes. The few of those who in our time are acquainted with this knowledge live retired in some islands near the frontiers of China and continue to tread the steps of their forefathers. So it shows you the classes. Let me go back one thing. The first class was dealing with the initial scholars or initiated scholars. The first class was Hamrisa, Alamiria, who were all descendants of Hermes the Great. They married daughters of their own race and never were allowed to have any kind of intercourse with strangers. No man in the world was acquainted with any of their secrets. They alone possessed them. They were the authors of the books commonly called the books of E.A.R.S or Enoch. Okay, and we know that's another term for Hermes. All right. Then we go down to the second class of Hermesians called Hamrisa, and I'll let you do that. Alpina Waluzia, the sons of the brother of Hermes, whose names was Asilbianos. They married within their own families only, and far from giving their countrymen any kind of trouble, they became necessary to them in all their business. So the difference between these two classes thus far was in the use of perfumes allowed to them and the liberty they enjoyed to see their relations at the entrance of the sun. Okay, then we go on to, they never communicated their secrets as well and the hermetic treasures to anybody, but they preserved them from generation to generation till our days. And it also had a side note in reference to the Brahmins, maybe here alluded to as the followers of the Hermesian philosophy. On the intercourse between India, Egypt, and China, it gives another reference. So we can see the annual discourses in the Asiatic researches, as it just took me back to when the prophet speaks about all of these are Muslims in different nations of the earth, whereas it removes that demarcation line where we're looking at each other cockeyed when we're all coming from, in essence, the same source. Okay, we move down some, and I tell you, it was so much information, so much information. This is just dealing with one of the rights to a particular group of people that was discussed in last class. Now we're looking at the third class, or the children of the sister of Hermes, known amongst the Greek by the name of Trismegistos Thudios. This class was intermixed with some strangers and profane. Now that term is used when it comes down to Western Freemasonry. You know, anything that's not age 21, European of sound mind and body, they're considered profane. So here we see this word, who found means to get hold of the expressions of their hearts. Their sciences and knowledge are come down to us. Now, instructions to us: learn then, O reader, the secrets, mysteries, and treasures of the hieroglyphics, not to be found and not to be discovered anywhere else. Formerly, a knowledge of them could not be acquired but by immense pains and expense, by a great number of years and a long course of travels, and now, lo, these treasures are laid open for thy enjoyment. Take possession of them, keep and guard them with the utmost care and secrecy. Profoundly learned philosophers and curious students only have attained this knowledge. So that just reminded me of on page 3 of our Quran, where it's speaking about how Allah is the one that released these special secrets. Now, this was something, the old kings of Egypt are comprehended by us under the general name of pharaohs. The Oriental historians divide them into 3 dynasties: the Hermesian, the Pharaohs, and the Coptic. And of course, I'm going to go back and revisit that definition of Oriental. And it took me going through about 9 different definitions that wanted to say, well, it's Japanese Chinese, Japanese Chinese. Finally, the reference for Oriental, a cultural criticism that shaped academic discourse about how the Western world has historically depicted Asian, North African, and Middle Eastern cultures, similar to what Dr. Banti Bey was speaking about. They established the notion that Western representations of, quote unquote, the Orient perpetually grounded it in a state of unbelonging, in turn reducing Oriental peoples to exoticized caricatures. And you see that in this day when it comes down to, quote unquote, what they term as Negro, Black, and colored people in this day and time. They're still doing the same thing to try to, oh, you ain't about nothing, you property, et cetera, et cetera. We see that this has been done throughout history to bury our special truths that could benefit the rest of the world. Okay, let me just move on down, because like I said, Moorish Ken. Now, this was a particular list going from what terms Europeans used and what was actually going on according to our ancestors. Treasure chambers were actually dealing with compounds, filtress, conjuring buildings, alchemistry, astrological tables, the knowledge of spirits, alchemical monuments, planet rings, magical spells, magic black art, talismans, magician, magic alarm post, soothsayer, inscriptions, priest, secrets of the stars, pyramids, conjuring spirits, secrets, mysterious things. Like I said, I was just gathering so much information came out of these three attachments. Let me get down to the glyphs. Okay. I came from the ancient alphabets and hieroglyphic characters. I chose apple, coming from chapter 3, ayat 12 through 13. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. It gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores are full of bitterness and gall. So in essence, we look at an apple, oh, you know, nice apple, etc. And when you take that bite into it, is not pleasing to the taste. That's the same when it comes down to lower self, that illusionist state. We just had that glyph of falsehood, that shadow, etc. It looks enticing, but in essence, you're doing nothing but accumulating negative karmic debt. Next one, temperate. And these are one of the runs on the 12-step ladder. Teach him temperance and he shall have health. You know, so that was a powerful demonstration as well. When we look at corrupting, which is this glyph here, it took me to chapter 3, ayat 11. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. So it lets us know that when we dwell in negative thinking, which is actually our lower self or that illusionist self, then it's also corrupting. This is why we're told to quickly make a speedy reparation when it comes down to, first of all, you got to recognize that you're in a lower state or negative vibrations, and then hurry and pull yourself up out of that. And we're blessed to be able to have tools and keys to recognize, identify, and be able to dwell in our higher state. Now this, I use both of these glyphs that meant fruit. And that took me to chapter 1. So spirit man as seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. And just as the seed of an apple is going to produce an apple tree, so by us being a spirit and a part of the great God Allah, we have the attributes of our creator as well. Now, this one, bitter, it gives men, this is also coming from chapter 3. It gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores, dealing with that apple, are full of bitterness and gall. You know, it looks nice and pleasing, but that's the illusion. Vine. I went to chapter 9, ayat 15. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every nation must confess its own. So in essence, we've been returned back to our sacred pathway, connecting us up with our creator, not, you know, worshiping outside gods that in essence are not beneficial to us as a people. This is tree and this is plant. And I came from chapter 1, Here Now, O Protoplast and Earth and Plant and Beast. And in the reading, when it spoke about Ibn Washia, he was able to translate into different languages. And the thing about it is the point was the medicinal purpose of the particular plant or tree or what have you, or herb, as opposed to the various languages, but it just showed how adept he was in reference to his comprehension of our ancient sciences. The next one was flower, and this at first when I looked at it, it looked like that all-seeing eye. Chapter 1 again, the child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed must be deeply planted in a soil that he might grow, unfold as does the bud unfold to show the flower. And of course, it had some Latin transliterations in there, but it was speaking about how dealing with the works of Ibn, let me get his name right, Washia, Rum of the Egyptians, whom I have close to me, which not a little aid was brought to hieroglyphic institutions. So in essence, this was Rome giving great benefit to the transliterations brought by Ibn Washia. But of course, you know, when it comes down to their books and stuff, they wanted to take the credit for it. Each alphabet is represented in its old shape and form, the original name of it recorded, and the power of the characters written underneath with red ink in Arabic letters, to the end that they may be better distinguished. So again, we're speaking about people, places, and things, not actual letters. Just flipping through, I tell you more, it was just so much information. Praise Allah. Oh, now in this one, Nabatean Agriculture, which was another book brought forth by Ibn Washia. The work itself claims to be a translation by the claims. I look at words like that. All right, that lets you know the mindset of the author that's writing this particular demonstration. By the early 10th century author Ibn Washia. The oldest parts of the book should reach back in time some 20,000 years. The Washia very rarely gives Greek equivalents of the Nabatean plant names. More often, he gives their Persian equivalents. So he could take one, which is what I was speaking about before. He could take one glyph, which is, let's say, the laurel tree, and bring it forth in the language of Nabatean, in Persian, and in Greek. But he argues for his decision of listing all these names by referring to the medical importance of the tree. That's the point, you know. So I thought that was indeed powerful. And our scribes have brought this forth as well. Ibn Washia sees the text as an esoteric way of expressing valid truths. They also mix truth with falsehood, not only in this agricultural manual, but in all their sciences, to avoid common people and the uninitiated masses understanding secrets which they are not worthy of comprehending. The habit of the ancestors to conceal their knowledge by mixing truth with falsehood is defended by referring to the rational capacities of intelligent readers who are able to see through this to distinguish between the two. So definitely, if you're looking at things from a universal perspective and receiving revelations, then you are able to interpret the meaning of the glyphs. That's why it says signs and symbols are for men of understanding. And now here was a demonstration that was put forth as well. You are speaking to the ancestors. You are exceedingly careful, in fact, to wipe the name, Dekir, of your people into oblivion and to bury their merits. In your action, you follow the example of those who have lived before you. But in doing so, both you and they are unjust to those earlier scholars of yours, who are also my scholars and forebears as well. By this very action, you have faded the mention of our forebears and concealed their sciences and their merits from people. What if I translate these books, or some of them, into Arabic so that people can read them? They would then know the measure of our sciences and can make use of what our forebears have invented. And that would become a sort of pride for us and an indication of our excellence. That was powerful to me. And this was the thought of Ibn Washia. So, that's my measure. Like I said, I skipped over some of it because I didn't want to be redundant, but I definitely want to go back and immerse myself in these 3 books because it brought so much clarity. I had so many paradigm shifts in reference to these great truths. And ethereally what is truth because of how it vibrates within your spirit and your soul. So that's my assignment. Gratitude more for calling me forth. Peace and love.
Islam, Grand Secretary of State, that's a powerful measure. And as we can see, again, prior to Champollion, another source showing us, that these things were deeper than most can see. And also, you remember, we've been going into a lot of the expressions through gematria. And also going into the periodical table and showing, and these things are actually coming back, just as they do with the math, because we know mathematics is the most accurate aspects. So our methodology of bringing these measures, as we showed it to our family on numerous occasions, is a very accurate method, because once you link the numbers to these special expressions, they pretty much bring out a lot of the sciences, and again, they didn't teach all of this stuff to people because people would misuse it. A lot of this stuff, again, was dealing with alchemy and so forth and so on. So it was really like someone having a nuclear arsenal at their disposal, so to speak. And you wouldn't give that to anybody, to just have access to it. And that's why, there had to even be measures such as adept chambers, in order to be able to convey these things. Because the common mind, as we can see, when we try to give them this in the public, they most definitely shut down some of them. They become rejectors of the truth. And that's why you have one say, well, don't cast pearl before the swine, so to speak, because most of the time when you go to tell it the truth, they go to try to make you look like you crazy, like you ain't got no sense. So, but nevertheless, we are the ones who are revealers of the light, because that's what a hierophant is. A hierophant reveals the light. And like the chairman always tells us, it's not in the possession of a thing, but knowing how to use it. Like I always say, to reiterate what our chairman said, you can give somebody a handful of diamonds, but if they don't know what they got, they'll throw them in a shoebox and put them in the closet somewhere and let it collect dust and spider webs, So, and also if the mind is unwilling to receive what is being given and it won't accept it, then it don't matter if one has it in their presence, either or. And that's why we know that we don't have to go into the aspect of holding back, so to speak, but we know why our ancestors demonstrated what they demonstrated. It was all of what we would call security, so to speak. Now Rome, on the other hand, they took that as special expression and tried to go into the aspect, all right, we're going to keep them in the dark. We ain't giving them nothing, So that's a powerful drawing, to hear those drawings and everything you brought forth, even while she has again reinforced our position. Let us reiterate. We know that our concept goes back to our Moorish Holy Quran. Our Moorish Holy Quran tell us that Yahushua was told to contemplate the meanings. And I seen you show, that the rigorous training that one had to go through. So how could somebody that ain't be trained by a priest just come up out of there and say, all right, I done come up with my method of decipherment. That's it. You know, Champollion. I got it, fellas.
Right.
You know, and you know, they was actually in competition racing, trying to see who can do it first anyway. So he came up with the genius idea. Oh, why not take a picture and apply it to the alphabet, the Latin alphabet, and then the Greek alphabet, and then the Demotic alphabet, you know, and then next thing you know, oh, that's it, y'all. Champollion did it. Ain't nobody else gonna do it after him. But everybody prior to him, such as real priests like Apollo, you know, who was a real Egyptian priest, you know, just throw his stuff to the side, then admit, yo, he was right. So if his methodology was right without an alphabet chart, shouldn't that tell you something?
And you know what, Islam, Dr. Shahid, you know, when you were speaking and you were referencing is almost like a nuclear arsenal, because when you're speaking about access to spiritual realms and other etheric demonstrations of our ancient forefathers, it reminded me of, and I heard the elders say this in reference to those that walk with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that the Prophet had to put security on it, as you stated, through his adept chamber and things of that nature, because you had certain Moors that wanted to take it and abuse that power, you know, and in essence hurting one another. So you can see the reason why I had to go through such in-depth signs and symbols, you know, to keep the vulgar and the common folk, and as you stated, I mean, but it was just so powerful to see the you know, universal aspect of what our people have brought forth, you know.
Oh yeah, Islam and the Grand Quran also talk about the angels Harut and Marut, who brought down the sciences of being able to deal with certain things. And they said they didn't do no wrong by bringing it down, but they told them that this would be a test for them, you know. And men wronged themselves, it is said, because they began to misuse what was being given. Or they want to put more faith in self, so to speak. The temptation makes one put more faith in self than they do the supreme reality. So, you know, the great God Allah definitely addressed that. And he also talked about Solomon. Solomon was given a certain power to have command over the jinns. But he said that, you know, a lot of people don't know Solomon didn't have no corruption in him. You know, so he couldn't be swayed by the duality of his lower self, you know. And so that's why ones, like you said, speaking of that nuclear arsenal, you ain't got no business putting your hind part out there in the wind when you know it ain't covered.
Praise a lot. Gratitude.
Yeah, you gonna get a divine behind whooping if you do, you know. And so that's a powerful draw. And I also want to show our family this too, right here. I'm gonna show you this because we use the term Hermes, you know, which we know that's a Greek term. Nothing wrong with that. And I want to give y'all a picture of it, because this is a whole rundown. This is actually my Atlantis session here, and it actually show all of them in here. Zeus. A lot of these images you will find among the Attics. That's ATTICS, the Attics relics, so to speak, in the so-called Greek culture. But you can see the Kemetic influence, like the winged, you know, one with the serpent body and, you know, different measures. They just have a different expression. So I used it and expressed the concept of Asia, Attics, the Attics. You see Poseidon here, which they get the Aquaman concept, you know, is connected to this in the Triton, you know, which later became pitchfork to a lot of people, you know. But anyway, so if you look at these ones here, this is Poseidon again, look like fighting Medusa. You can see with the serpents here. I just want to get down here to Hermes in a minute. Look at their flesh, though. Look at the color of their hue. You know, these are the original people that inhabited Greece. That's Poseidon again. And like I say, you can follow these. This is Poseidon again with the locks in his head. Just like in ancient Kemet, they have the Ben or the bird, the Bennu. You see it. You see the beard here. This was a style of the antiques. It was one of the trademarks. We have also Athena and Poseidon here together. You see again as melanated as ever now. This is letting you know who the indigenous were. Here is one holding up the Atlas. If you ever seen the picture of the man holding up the Atlas, this is Atlas. See the serpent here. We see the Bennu. Look like it's getting hold to somebody that's basically probably done got I don't know what they got going on here, but they tied up right there. But look like it's poking at the little heart there. But anyway, keep going a little bit. This is what I want to show you. This is Hermes now. Now this is supposed to be among the Greeks. Now if you notice here, this is Hermes sitting here, who is aka Tehuti, right? Look at what he has on his head. This is the Atef crown, the white crown of Upper Kemet, then the crown of Lower Kemet with the serpent coming off the front of it, the cobra. And and he has his staff here. And they would tell you that Tehuti was able to move throughout the climes in the time. You got to remember Tehuti, a thought, aka Hermes, also represented divine mind. So we're talking about divine consciousness coming throughout the age. That's why they call him thrice the greatest. This is dealing with various different incarnations as well. Here's another depiction of Hermes, with the infant Hercules. This is 550 to 500 BC. He has Hercules here according to this. Now, if you ever seen this little wings coming off the leg, they had some tennis shoes made like this back in the day. That's where they got it from. They actually got some shoes out here with wings coming off of them. I know y'all done seen them before. So again, the headdress here, same beard. They got the staff right here. Let's see here. Go a little further. This is also Hermes with Apollo. Now we know that this ain't no fluke on the skin tone because we see the difference here. We see a European looking skin tone, pale skin, coming to serve one that is dark in skin. You see? Now this, if we were looking at it as a color, skin color, this would be, we know, yeah, this is black right here, right? But that still wouldn't be their nationality. That still wouldn't be their ethnicity because ain't no such thing as a black people, but descriptively, that's what people would say. Oh, it's the black people, whatever the case may be. We know how that go. We know better. All that come from John Blumenbeck and the Europeans as well. So we don't get caught up into descriptives, but we just say melanated, a dark hue. We see the one has a lion head dress on here, as well, like they would wear in Egypt and Africa. See Hermes here? Look like he has some type of peace pipe in his mouth or something here. He has on his drape, same headdress. We can see the pale skin woman here again, dealing with the sisters. Again. Okay. So yeah, same thing here. All of these are different expressions. Here's Hermes again here, right here in the back. Same thing with the staff. We definitely know. You see the pale skin here. They look like the pale skin was more serving our people over there in Greece than anything. This is something else, but it don't get no plainer than that. I see one demonstrating the hand of Sabazius here, the expression, the sign of raising up one. There's a lot of symbolism going. This is Dionysus. So nobody can never deceive you when you hear these names after looking at these different pictures. Again, there it is again. Yeah, it got this is a little different right here. This got the European woman coming out and went and caught a little hair, I guess. I guess she bringing him something to cook. You know, there he is with his locks. You know, the brother got his demonstration going on here. Look like they got something going on here. But I know for a fact that we can see that they was again serving our people. This was being depicted. And this is real art, family. This ain't stuff somebody done just went and made up recently. A lot of this is real artwork. You know, this is Zeus, Sabazius, Saba Zeus, Saba, Seba, Zeus, Sabians. Remember we talked about that too? Saba Zeus. That means the God in the seven too. But this is Helios here. You know, which is, you know, almost like a raw Athena. Y'all seen Wonder Woman? They try to trace her mythos back to Athena and the Amazons. This is Adonis. Hestia, the goddess Estia, Vestia. You know, so yeah, it's always good to revisit these things to show our people. Polyphemus. The birth of Athena was being demonstrated here, as I was showing earlier, but trying to get back down, it done jumped out of the area here. I want to make sure y'all can see all of this stuff. So yeah, this is like plate after plate, relic after relic, Artemis. Here is a depiction of Artemis here, Ephesian Artemis. And look, you know, and this is also, you know, a lot of your so-called Black Madonna, you know, expressions as well. You know, they're depicted in a similar way. So yeah, family, like, I mean, as we come up, we can see the same thing being demonstrated. And you got to remember, Alexander the Greek, when they went into Kemet, it was like 330 BC. So when we look at all of this here, this is like what, a little couple, maybe 200 years prior to 250, 280 years. You know, this is how they were being depicted, you know, in this time. You know, so that pale skinned Greek that went in there was a total different people than the ones that's being depicted here. So this is a paradigm shift in and of itself. Look at that. Yeah, so we can see a lot of the measures. There it is again. European coming to serve the Asiatic. Yeah, there you go. We see a brother here. He got some grays in his head. But yeah, I just wanted to show y'all this. There's Hermes again right there in the cut. Blow that up a bit. Got his staff with him. You know, so like, I mean, you can't make this stuff up, family. You can't make it up. You know, last but not least, you know, I want to say that's Zeus as well too, or Hercules, one of them. But I actually had it up there. So yeah, I just wanted to show our family that. So when you see Hermes, you know, yeah, I do this here. You know, all is well. So, you know, at this time, we're gonna go ahead and see if our beloved brother Marvin Edwards Bey have a measure to bring forth. Islam, before we open up the floor.
Islam, yeah, this is Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey out of the Texas Consulate, rising, giving all praise to the great God Allah, giving highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give high honors to our theocratic government, our Morris American government. I give high honors to our Act 1. I give high honors to all of our officials. I give high honors to this class, our Egyptian ADEPTUS Research Sultanate class, better known as E.A.R.S. Of course, I give honors to you, Dr. Shedu Amenti Amohezi Sepsuel, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh and our host and instructor of our E.A.R.S class. Well, I give honor to everything that's Moorish, our flag, our seal, our emblem, our divine constitution, Holy Quran, our book of Ali, our 101s, 102s, our exhument of a nation, all of our divine revelations. I give honor to the forerunner of our prophet, Dr. Marcus Musigarba L., as well as I give honor to the ancestors whom shoulders we stand upon. We are the return of the ancient ones. Honor to those scribes and their beautiful and elevated demonstrations today. I didn't get a chance to do very much. I kind of like started on it, but then again, I kind of like misplaced my references. But what I did do, I just for a moment, share my screen. Okay, entire screen. Sure. Okay, can you see my screen? Islam?
Yes, sir. We just added you in the queue, my brother.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, this is for that guy. Like I said, as I was going into it, yeah, there was a lot of reading and very interesting too. But like where I got, studied the documents here and their reference to Tehuti thought, also known as Hermesian sage, Hermes, thrice the greatest, aka Enoch, in the role of creation and the alphabets, give you understanding of the history of the writing as it relates to his involvement. And two, I didn't get to give your understanding of Ibn Washiya's works concerning the hieroglyph, choose 7 glyphs from his writings and demonstrate how they relate to teachings within our Moorish Holy Quran. And I came in on Dr. Dendra Near Curtis Bay's demonstration and very powerful measure, which was going into the different glyphs and how it related to our Holy Quran and how we could relate it to our Holy Quran. So going, and this is just off of that first plate you gave us. God made inherent in us to the need for the knowledge of the histories of our predecessors, just as well as the need for our predecessors for histories of their predecessors, and just as will be the need for those who shall come after us for our histories. So basically, this is bearing witness or showing how we are, basically replicating or doing what our ancestors have done for all of time's sakes. You know what I mean? They treasured, they preserved our history. You know what I mean? Through before written history, it was an oral history type of thing. You know what I mean? So that's how they taught. And as people with the Dr. Etsefu, showing how through the families, you know what I mean? It was first through the the actual family from, the father, mother, through the children and their offsprings, how our history was passed down. And of course, it expanded as we began to multiply more. And so basically, only thing I got to put down on paper, so to speak, was this expression they were talking about, dual noon. Dual noon, and I know you made reference to this brother a lot. And so he to me was a representation or incarnation of thought, Hermes, messages, and so as I was, taking note of that, talking about dual noon, he was born in 796 of Akhmin in Upper Egypt, the son of Nubian slave. He lived for much of his life either in or next to one of the famous temples of Akhmin. This city was the capital of the 9th nome in Upper Egypt and was known in the Greco-Roman period as Panopolis. You know, and I want to do more research on these names with that polis on it. You know what I mean? It's like metropolis. You know, so apparently it's one of the largest cities. It was a major center for the cult of men, and you've seen men in many depictions of the god of fertility. You see him as a man. If I'm correct, you can correct me, Grant, on that, Sister Grant. See this figure of a man with an erected phallus, so to speak, and which is indicative of his fertility and what have you, protector of the deserts. It was also known during the period as a center for study of alchemy, producing famous practitioners as Zosimos of Panopolis. The city of Achaemen maintained its fame for the study of alchemy well into the medieval period. Egyptian temples had been centers of alchemy and were perceived as such by Muslim Arab writers. And this is coming from, say, the Muslim Arab writers, which was part of the references that you had, sent us, which I don't know what happened to mine because I couldn't even continue, Anyway, and so the connection between Dual Noon and the town of Achaemen is interesting, as Hermes is also said to have lived there. You know what I mean? So this is how I connected that, because a lot of times there is a physical person, that was being talked about, but they used, different demonstration that was beyond man's scope. Anyway, they lived teaching the science of alchemy in his temple. This was brought on by, say, Plessner, 1954-51. In the later times, the temple was believed to have two of Christ's disciples buried there, though according to Al-Yaqubi, they were buried in a monastery of Abu Shenouda nearby. Al-Yaqubi, these are the ones that brought this on the manifest in writings, 332. Al-Bakri, died in 1994, said of Dual Noon. It is said that Dual Noon of Achaemen was able to comprehend as much as he could of the sciences of the temple. I guess Herbie is the transliteration of temple. Temple is the translation of Herbie transliteration. So much so that he mastered the craft, made diamonds, and was carried to Iraq in one night. As well, he mastered other sciences because in his youth he served a monk called Sas, or Sais, however you want to put it, who was at Achaemen, who taught him the script and showed him how to make the offering, the incense, and the name of the spirit. And I would say that would be the name of the great God, and commanded him to keep that to himself. When Dual Noon learned what he learned, he plastered the house of wisdom with the clay of wisdom, which cannot be removed unless the stone is removed with it. And if removed, this would damage the script used for the symbols, and this to me represented, how we, went about putting the, say, glyphs or the different hieroglyphs on the temples, so that they would be there for lasting times. And how at the Europeans, when they came about, how they basically disrupted a whole bunch of the actual scripts, as they wanted to bring themselves as being ancient. And so this is much as what I went to. I think I got a little more to study. Chapter 4 above, the manuscripts ascribed to Dual Noon, shows his interest in and knowledge of the ancient Egyptians as well as other scripts. He was certainly a key figure in the lineage of the transmission of alchemy. He was widely believed to have acquired the secrets of ancient Egypt knowledge and wisdom from the inscriptions and reliefs of the temple where he lived, Al-Masadi Maruk. And this is the ones that kind of like referenced it. He is also credited with introducing into Islam the idea of the gnosis, called it marifa, which is the inner knowledge received as revelation while in ecstasy. I mean, this is a state, and to me, this is like a state of basically revelation. You know what I mean? People call it heaven, a heavenly state, which differs from the intellectual and traditional knowledge obtained through study and reason. Dhul Nun said of this gnosis, everything which the eyes see is related to knowledge, and that which the heart knows is related to certainty. And this was said of Dhul Nun. And so basically this is as much as what I could get, you know what I mean, due to the time that I had. But I'm learning quite a bit from the other strides before me, and of course yourself, instructor, just continue to strive. With that, I say gratitude for allowing me to give my message. Islam.
And Islam, very powerful measure to bring that forth, because yes, Dhul Nun is also said to have written works, from what we hear, even whole volumes on dictionaries dealing with the Egyptian hieroglyphs or the Egyptian language. We haven't seen anything surface yet, but maybe some of these things may be in the library of Timbuktu. Because they got a lot of them manuscripts that ain't been translated yet. But Dhul Nun was to us, so to speak, and you see they say he was born of Nubian, which is Cushite blood. The Arabs, they want to make him be like he was Orthodox Muslim, and say, yeah, he was Muslim and da-da-da-da-da. That's all good and well, cool. But, there are other sources that tell us that he was basically an Egyptian mystic, like you just read there, and so he was often elevated as being what we call the father of Sufism, the precursor to it, so to speak. In all actuality, we know he said that his teaching came from Tehudi. You see what I'm saying? So that in and of itself is a powerful measure. And as you pointed out, yes, he was considered a reincarnation of, Tehudi, a thought, Hermes as well in his time. So, he was an alchemist, and you see, they say he was able to make diamonds. So, that tell you what type of person Dhul Nun was. This alchemistry and science is powerful. One powerful book, I don't know if our Moors ever ordered it. I think I mentioned it to our family. It's Alchemy. The book Alchemia. I talked to the Moors about it a while back. That's a good book, that speaks on some of the information concerning Dhul Nun. That book, let me see, I'm going to show you. And if y'all got it, you just let me know. This one right here. Yeah, I got this book. Let me share my screen. But yeah, this is a good book right here, family. We always giving our family sources. That's one thing they ain't got to never worry about with us, family. We always got sources to back what we say. See right here?
I may have that.
Yeah, I think I have that as well.
Yeah. This book. Yeah. I knew I had told y'all about it. But in this book, it goes into, some grand drawing. It get a history of it gives the history of Dhul Nun. It goes and touches on it. It goes into every aspect of these special drawings and tell you some of the alchemical measures. It talks about, I like the symbolic transformation of the black stone when they talk about how it became black. It originally represented what was pure in whiteness, but the hands of men and sin touched it and it became black. I was like, man, that's a powerful demonstration. Now, black according to science mean death, and they compared that as well to like Cain. Cain representing that black expression, and Abel representing the spiritual, the white expression, so to speak. They went into that aspect as well. And this is really at the essence of our being. It has to do with the intellect. Either your intellect is full of light, it is full of darkness. So yeah, this brother was a Sufi master. He was an Egyptian adept, and it's a lot of books written on him, but this is just one that pretty much is a good read if you want to read it. If you have it.
Yeah, I got that. As a matter of fact, I do have that. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go into that.
Gratitude. Oh yeah. They got a whole bunch of measures in it. So I definitely love to keep my drawing on the manifest all the time. I'm trying to see what my copy had. I had it up here. Let's see that. Got to be in there somewhere. I know I'm gonna have them right there. It's hiding from me up in here on all these little books I got in here. Let's see, not that one. Oh, there you go, right there. There you go, right there. Okay, I gotta put that one. Another book too, dealing with the wisdom of Hermes. I'm gonna show y'all too that I have. And if you look at the word, they say Hermes Trismegistus. And I told you that the Dris, connects to the word Idris, because we know D is interchangeable with T. You see? So hold up. I'm just trying to read a little something out of this particular measure here. Just to give an idea of what we're dealing with in this particular work. And I got the pages here. Okay, this is when they go into Dhun Nun al-Mesri. They talk about his history, his birth from Nubia. I want to go into the actual teaching. Yeah, you're going to love this book once you go into it and read it, because we get into some real classical sources. Okay, not that one. Okay, that's the Divine Quaff. Okay, yeah, here it is, what I was talking to y'all about earlier. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is actually the symbolism, because they also talk about a lot of this stuff coming into the teachings of Morocco, in North Africa. But it was talking about on page 53, it starts talking about the black stone. And it says, does the black stone in Mecca find any trace of itself which might take it away from its stoneliness, even though apostles, prophets, and saints continually kiss it? When his question is replied to the negative, Abu Madayan, this is Abu Madayan, he said, well, I am that black stone and carry its authority. And another source, Henry Corbin's Imagination of Sufism of Ibn Arabi. Ibn Arabi is a very powerful individual too when it comes to these works. It says, when Abu Madayan was asked if the black stone felt any effect produced upon it by people who touched it and kissed it, he replied, "I am the black stone." Now, you know that ain't no Orthodox Muslim making a statement like that right there, because if he did, they'll be trying to cut his head off. And he couldn't have been talking to no, it's just like a prophet saying he a prophet to some of them. But, these are the type of statements you would see mystics make. They make bold statements like that. But it says, in his book of Masters of the Path of History of the Masters, in the METU Lahi Sufi order, it says, previously mentioned Dr. Javed Nabask. It says the current master of the Natmatullahi order relates to, it says in the section on the Al-Mudan following of the antidote above, that in the vocabulary of the Sufis, the black stone refers to the station of effacement of every sign other than God. So it says in the volume 3 of Dr. Nabask's encyclopedic work on Sufi symbolism, it is related that the prophet said the black stone, the Kaaba, is the right side of God. Now we know the real black stone, the concept where they got this from, is really from the Benben of ancient Kemet. That was the original black stone. But that's a whole nother measure. But it says the black stone, the Kaaba, is the right side of God, quoting the passage saying, "Turn your face towards it." So it says the tradition tells us that the holy stone was brought to Abraham, right? It says by the angel from a nearby hill, Abu Qubais, where it had been preserved, it says, since reaching the earth from its heavenly origin. In the hadith of the prophet, it descended from paradise whiter than milk, but the sins of the sons of Adam made it black. So that sounds real familiar when we talk about white mean purity, purity mean God, God mean the ruler of the land. It's like us, we descended from paradise whiter than milk in our intellect, in our consciousness, but it became corrupt, with blackness and darkness, as we went through various different degrees of unfoldment on the plane of things made manifest. But it says, although the sons of Adam may be interpreted to include all of humankind, indeed the immediate sons are Cain, a name which means draw to itself, implying a selfish nature, while Abel can be interpreted as breath, an animating breath of God, which is selfishly desired by the material nature and is essential to its being. So we're talking about holy breath here. You see? It says these spiritual children of the union of man, fire, and woman, water, it says initially become earth and mist, or air, merciful rain, grace, and perfect balance. It says the philosopher's stone, which is living, flexible, clear, and knitted white as snow, hot, humid, airy, and vaporous, and digestive. And this says Philalethius. It says the earthly material side of Cain selfishly desires what he sees in his brother Abel's airy spiritual nature. The self. Cain kills Abel. As a result, the holy stone is fixed in the material world and becomes black. It says in alchemia, the latter is simply absorbed by the former, resulting in all material phenomena. This explains the thought pattern of our people. So the true concept of alchemy is where you take base nature and turn it into a spiritual reality. They say base metals and turn it into gold, so to speak, right? It says the overwhelming spiritual nature of the mediating body, a ketub. A ketub, they call this the axis of the universe, the axis mundi. If you go look up axis mundi in your dictionary of symbols, they give you a whole rundown on the ketub. This is what the master or the adept is called, the ketub, the teacher. He's called the ketub. and is symbolized often by what they call the dot in the middle of the bot, or the dot within the circle. In other words, we can say circle 7. But it says, such as Al-Madnan initiates once again whitening of the stone. So this initiates the whitening of the stone after the material nature in whomever comes across the Ketub passes through the dark night of the soul, a living death of selfishness. See that? Black according to science mean death, huh? That is darkened in darkness and black of blacks. This negrito phase in alchemia produces then a starry phase. Out of darkness come light, huh? The mirror of the celestial whiteness appears, and the final resolution and reunion identified with the spirit or the self is achieved. One then becomes as solid and unshakable as a stone. In other tradition, the Kaaba is said to have been built of celestial rubies. We heard our sister talking about the ruby earlier, signifying the red sulfur, the transmuting power, a stone that evolves the base into the golden, or spiritual nature, what I was just talking about. Alchemically, the colors change from black, the primal material, to white, signifying calcination, to red, gold, the projection. In this sense, the perfection, of course, originates in heaven and descends to the earth as a red ruby, from which God's original temple is built. It says, due to the proximity, it says, of the material, the earthly nature of mankind, in time it turns white, then black, and reversing the alchemical process. It is then left up to the art of the alchemist to initiate the process of return, or toba, that means repentance. Return back to your original state. Perhaps if Ibn Madyan indeed possessed the transforming power as the stone, it follows that his student Ibn Arabi was able to become, through the grace of the Sheikh, the red sulfur, the kibrit, Ahmar, the end of the work, a perfect man of God. Insani Kamil is what they also call it, or the Shabazz. It says, in the Kitab Manzil al-Kutub, or the book of spiritual dwelling of the pole, Ibn Arabi enumerates the qualities of the Kutub, or the pole. The pole is both the center of the circle of the universe and its circumference. See, there it is again, that's circle 7. It said he is the mirror of God and the pivot of the world. This is what our prophet was to us. He was the pole. God is perpetually epiphanized to him, and he is located in Mecca, whatever place he happened to be bodily. So you can be anywhere you are, but still be in Mecca. That's why the prophets say he can be over here at 1 minute and be over there in India out of nothing. But Mecca, to be in that place and yet be in any other place, has to do with a state of mind, because true Mecca is above the neck. True adept chamber is above the neck. When a pole is enthroned at the level of the Kutubiyya, all beings, animal or vegetable, make covenant with him. This explains the story about the man who saw the huge snake that God had placed around Mount Qaf, which encircles the world. That's similar, that snake encircling the world. You know, brother, who was it? Apollo speak on a lot of that serpent and what it represents. But anyway, it says the head and the tail of the snake meet. And the man greeted the snake, who returned to the greeting and asked him about Sheikh Abu Mayyan, who lived in Bajaya in the Maghrib, which is, the area what we call Mauritania, Morocco. The man said, how do you come to know Abu Mayyan? And the snake answered, is there anyone on earth who does not know him? So our people was deeply spiritual. That's why Brother Dr. John Henry Clark said, we had a more spiritual approach. They don't teach this every day in the masjid or in Islam. You got to search for this information. And it is the African version of Sufism that has become the most dominant in the present day and time. It's almost quadrupled, what was being demonstrated everywhere else. So yeah, this is a grand drawing here. It goes on and speaks more about this alchemy, and you got the book, so y'all can go into this thing and really get some grand insight. I just wanted to bring that out, and I'm gonna show you this other book that I had Very powerful read right here. It's almost the same as the Emerald Tablets of Tehuti, but this is called the Divine Pyramid. And this book right here is Circle 7 to the core right here. When I tell you this is like the companion to the Circle 7 right here, and this is the writings of Hermes Trismegistus. So I'm going to show you. If you have ever had the works, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, I read them by Manly P. Hall. He got the Divine Pyramid in that book. I want to make sure you got the same one I got, though. It got different colors. So let me see here. Okay, yeah, this is it right here. I just want to make sure y'all can see it. Okay. It's this one right here, family. This book right here is a very powerful. I ain't read this whole book yet. I had it for years. But I did, I always speed read what I have, but I'm talking about I ain't really sat down and really went into it all the way. But this has to do with a lot about the creation. Like I said, it talked about the 7 Elohim. It talked about, how everything came into existence from a thought, and it's a conversation between Hermes and the universe, basically. Somewhat similar to, the other work that I have. The Sign of the Millennium, that was written by the brother Betty Uzum and Said Nursi. So this demonstration is a very powerful drawing right here. It's really talking about mind, and communication of mind with the divine. I'm gonna give you a little piece of this right here before we go up out of here. These are all the works of Hermes. So you can see these different works that unfold. Here it is. We'll start right here. This is after the preface. Let's see here. And this is 1. And it says, Parmenides, chapter 1, thought in me becoming on a time concerning the entities, and my meditation having been exceedingly sublime, and my bodily senses also calmed down, like as to those expressed in sleep from a satiety, luxury, or fatigue of the body. I suppose some of the very great magnitude with indefinite dimension happened to call out my name, saying to me, what wishest thou to hear? And to contemplate. Now, we always told to contemplate that frame, right? What having understood to learn and to know? I say thou, then who art thou? I indeed, he says, am Parmenides, the mind of the supreme power. I know what thou wishest, and I am everywhere with thee. I say I wish to learn the entities and to understand the nature of them and to know the God. This I say I wish to hear. And he says to me again, have in thy mind whatsoever things thou wouldest learn, and I will teach thee. Now this ain't a somebody outside. This is a hierophant within one that this one is conversing with, just like Yehoshua when he went through his measures. Speaking this, he was changed into in the form and said immediately, all things were disclosed to me in a moment. I see a spectacle indefinable, and all things having become light, more pleasant and joyous, having beheld, I was gladdened, and after a little darkness was brought down in part, having become dreadful and horrible, sinuously terminated, so that I imagine myself of having seen darkness changed into a certain moist nature, unspeakably disturbed and giving forth smoke as if from fire, and emitting a certain sound ineffable, mournful. Then a noise from it was inarticulately sent out, and as I suppose the voice of light. What he is describing is him being in the beginning of the creation of the cosmos, family. I had a similar experience and started writing, years ago, a particular work, because my high medium had spoke to me the same way I'm reading about this. It helped me understand what I had experienced. But it says, then a Noah's part himself, it says, from it was inarticulately sent out, and I suppose the voice of light. From the light, a certain holy word descended upon nature. You know how we always say, Allah is the perfect word. You hear them say in the Piscean records, where in the beginning was the word with God, the word was God, and they say this is the Logos. But anyway, it says, from the light, a certain holy word descended upon nature, and a pure fire sprang forth from the moist nature upward on high. It was light and sharp and drastic also, and the air being light followed the spirit. It ascending up to the fire from the land and the water, so that it seemed to be suspended from it. Earth and water remained mingled in themselves so as not to be distinguished from the water, and they were moved by the unborn spiritual word to hear it. Now, the same description being given here, if you read the Emerald Tablets of Tehuti, this same type of description is being given of the cosmos. Now, if you go into the book of Enoch and you look through his books, and when he described the cosmos, a similar expression is being spoken. It says, then Parmenides said to me, hast thou understood, he says this, the spectacle and what it means? And I shall know, I say, that the light, he said, I am mine, thy God, who is before moist nature, that which appeared out of darkness. But the luminous word out of mine, Son of God. What then? I say, know thus that in thee, seeing and hearing is word, it say of a Lord, but the mind of the Father God. For they are not distinct from each other. For the union of these is the life. It says, I thank thee, I said, but understand the light and become acquainted with that, he says. And saying this, he looked me in the face for a long time, so that I trembled at the form of him. But he having nodded, I beheld in my mind the light being in numberless powers, and the world having become illimitable, and the fire to be restrained by a very great force, and subdued to have assumed a stationary condition. But I comprehended, beholding these things, because of the word of Parmenides. But when I was in astonishment, he said to me again, didst thou see in the mind the archetypal form that existed before the indefinite beginning? And the Parmenides to me said, elements of nature, whence constituted are they? Again, he to me from the will of God, taking the word, beholding the beautiful world, form, imitation, and making the world by means of the elements of itself, the progenies of souls. But the mind, the God being the masculine feminine, originated life and light, begot by word another mind creator, who being God of the fire and spirit created some 7 administrators. There go your 7 Elohim. So the thought breathed forth the Elohim. It's basically what it's saying here, family. They actually have some commentary down here, but I ain't reading all of that right now, because I'm just touching these little portions to show you how the truth is often being told in many different ways by various different sources, because it also speaks of the 7 Elohim in the book of Enoch. It speaks of the 7 sages or administrators in the book of Tehuti as well. In the beginning of the creation of the cosmos, it speaks of that in our circle 7. So these are 4 different sources, and all of them saying the same thing, basically, in a different way of articulating it, but it's saying the same thing. It says, immediately from the downborn element sprung forth the word of the God, protoplast, plant, mineral, all of that. Immediately from the downborn element sprung forth the word of the God to the pure creation of all nature. Everything, all life is thought activity, right? It says, and was united to the created mind, for it was of the same essence, and the irrational downborn elements of nature were left to be matter only. But the creator mind, along with the word that encompassing its circles, making them revolve with force, turned about its own creations and permitted them to be turned about. Cycles, right? From indefinite beginning to the interminable end, for they begin, it says, ever where they end. You know, so we can see the cycles and everything being talked about, you know, and it goes deeper into this stuff. And this is not, it's just the beginning of reading this here, but this whole thing is really talking about a communication between mind and light, you know, and it has a whole bunch of measures where it get deeper into the Elohim in here, and it talks about the logos. You know, it gets deep into the language and speaking on the logos. You know, so you got to check it out, family. You know, this is a very powerful measure. And I had another work that actually I gave to the Moors a while back too, concerning Hermes as well. And actually that's the Hermetica. I know y'all got that too. Very powerful drawing. So a lot of these works are really just the Kemetic works being given under different names is what it is. But you know, y'all already know they're gonna take our science, you know, and put different measures. Here's another copy right here, the same thing with a different title. Hermes Mercurius Trismegistus, you know, the Hermetica. So yeah, you know, these are powerful drawings, family. They all dealing with the cosmology though and how creation came into being. So, you know, just know that when you hear these names, this is just the Greek way of utilizing or saying the name, so to speak, right? Pay attention to the symbolism. Signs and symbols are for conscious mind and men and women of understanding. But anyway, when we go into the essence of these special drawings, you know, we can't get enough in the learning, family. So yeah, they got a bunch of these copies out here. So either one that you get, you know, they got various different translations. So, you know, just seek the wisdom and become more knowledgeable of the self. You know, a lot of this stuff, like I said, our prophet, he brought us so much in our Moorish Holy Quran. And it's pretty much almost like a library of archives, you know, that would take us in many different directions. But we have a base, we have a foundation, solid rock of understanding to stand upon in our Circle 7. So we just say gratitude. It's been a grand measure today. And we're going to open up the floor now for our Grand National Secretary of the State, you know, so we can get ready to close this demonstration out. So, Islam.
Islam. Much gratitude. Islam Moorishkin, having already risen, giving praise and honor where due. I just want to give much honor to our scribes, our family online, to our E.A.R.S class, and also to you, Dr. Shaheed, for bringing forth these grand treasures. And much gratitude to, you know, constantly referring us to other source materials, you know, so that we can become even more founded in our special lessons and wisdom, you know, because as you were stating and just reading from the book, there's different ways to say it, but it boils down to all truth is one, you know. So this has just been a grand class, and I tell you, much gratitude again for the assignment that you brought forth, because until you actually do the research, go the way, you know, and it triggers prior lessons to seal even more so and concrete the foundation of these special truths. It's just a divine blessing. I look forward to, you know, continuing to do the research to deal with also the study of the self, because it both goes hand in hand. So gratitude, Dr. Shaheed, for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
And gratitude and peace and love to as well to you, Grand Secretary of the State. They don't know. Over here, we really study and we don't limit ourselves, you know, and we are most definitely always pivoting from what our prophet has brought us, you know, but we're not fearful as we used to be when we was under that Roman demonstration, you know, and that really came from the Roman Catholic Church, you know, standing over people, telling them what they can read and what they couldn't read. And if you read this, we're going to excommunicate you. You know, so praise be to Allah. There's a lot of wisdom to be learned, a lot of it out there. You know, so it all, once you have read though and studied so much, you begin to see the same truth, you know, pretty much repeating itself. Same message. So gratitude, Grand Secretary of the State. All right, to my scribes. Well, hold up, wait a minute. Let me call for my Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akin Acting Per M. Heru, to come and bay. Islam, you there, Grand Man? In closing.
National Grand Chairman is not available right now, Dr. Shaheed. Gratitude.
Okay, Islam. Well, we already know he about the business of our Father God Allah. Islam, honors to the tribe of endurance. Well, all right. Okay, what about my other two scribes?
Islam, I can weigh in.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
Gratitude. I just thought that was big. Praise and honor have been given. Very powerful class, very powerful reading that you ended up on. Man, and like our National Grand Secretary of State says, yes, like this solidifies a lot of our research, so to speak. You know what I mean? The more and more that we go into the research, the more founded we become. You know what I mean? Because we know that the Europeans and what have you had created a quagmire of situations, to keep us, say, buried. You know what I mean? They went all back into our past. So when we did wake up to the degree and get to that point, they would already be there at the door to misdirect us. But praise Allah for sending us a prophet. Praise Allah for raising up angels within our government to give us that guidance. You know what I mean? That protection, that salvation. And so I'm just so grateful for being a part of this process, being a part of this ongoing upliftment of fallen humanity. And I just say gratitude for allowing me to speak. Islam and peace.
And gratitude for the measure. Islam and peace. All right. Brother Bati Bey.
Islam. All I can say, man, it is great. It is good. It was, it is, and ever more to be. I enjoy doing this stuff, man. It's especially uncovering the lies, you know what I'm saying, and telling the truth about what we are, who we are, and it's beautiful to see that we didn't just start, you know what I'm saying, in slavery. It's beautiful, and even understanding that because we got a rich history, and a lot of us, there's a lot of people that don't know how rich our history is, a lot of our own, and there's a lot of the ones that do know how rich our history is, and the reason why they're trying to keep it from us. That speaks to the power of what we are and who we are. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I leave us a common piece.
Islam. And yeah, most of our people ain't really picked up yet that all our sources come from our people. The majority of them come from our people at all the degrees of unfoldment. And that's powerful in and of itself. So at this time, we'll turn the meeting over into your hands if you want to close us out, Brother Bati Bey.
Islam.
For Sunday school. Islam.
Islam. January 15th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We offer peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizens or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings towards the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors, all true Moors will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in the car button, cease wearing the turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Noble Drew Ali. Chapter 25. Ooh. 1 second. Chapter 25, Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all, and your love to each other. Islam, 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 peace. And this meeting has been adjourned. Islam, peace and love, family.
Peace and love. Very
Peace
powerful.
and love. Great class. Gratitude, scribes, family.
Islamism without the schism.
Islam.
Man, we got so much evidence, man, that
Woo.
it's the way that our prophet brought it to us and not what Champollion been talking about. Man, they better go to sleep.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Islamism without the schism.
Islam.
Yeah, so we got another milestone in the journey of the racing. We getting ready to go into our hieratic again soon. So y'all make preparation. We just want to leave no stone unturned.
Praise Allah.
Mashallah. And this time around, we'll be a little bit more spiffier than we were before. You know? Yep, because we had plenty of time.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
It's you know, we got to use a little humor. Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. We look forward to going back, you know, and the more we circle this 7, the more powerful we become in this information. You know, so people can't just tell us anything.
That's right.
They may be able to get that little stuff off on somebody not here. I wish a member and a non-member would. Islam, who you gonna believe, us or your lying eyes?
Woo.
Islam, we love you, family.
Love y'all.
Peace and love.
Love y'all.
See y'all in Sunday school. We want to give honors to our family out there as well. All of y'all that tuned in faithfully. You know, Pretense Edwards, my first time seeing you. Peace and love, family. Also, who that is? Facebook user, Islam Born Dog, Tyrif Bey, Divine Angel Wisdom, creator of the boundless universe. Y'all already know what it is. You know, Islamism without the schism. Y'all tune in faithfully, so I already know y'all done got a grand paradigm shift with this information. You know, so it don't get no plainer than this right here. We ain't got all the numbers with everybody else, but, you know, they keeping this a secret from themselves. We giving them everything they trying to hide from them, and they running from it. But it's Islamism. You can't run from truth. so long till it catch you. So we love you, family. Peace and love. We'll see y'all in the next session.